is Lord have mercy.
No.
It's the Artist and the Thinker podcast. Of course, me, the artist, and
I'm Terrence B, the thinker. Sweet's over here looking like a ninja.
mhm, I have a toothache, and I'm trying not to let air get to it. And yeah, this is where we are, and the
You like
pressure feels
Shredder.
good on my face.
You like Shredder.
I do. I can see it from my camera. Um, so what I want to talk about is kind of related to something that Terrence just recently said. Um, if, and I guess this is a question I want to pose to you. If you could go back into time at a certain age, given the knowledge that you have now, what, not saying that you remember everything that you did, but if you had the ability just enough to remember, okay, I want to start at this point and go on to my life to make different decisions, what age or what timepiece would you go to?
I would go to 10 years old.
Why 10 years old?
Why 10 years old? There's a lot of, because growing up, there's a lot of fights I shouldn't have walked away from
Mm,
as a
interesting.
kid. But it wasn't for I walked away, it wasn't for my sake. It was for theirs. Because I knew where my head goes.
Hmm.
And so I've always been that way. But there's a couple of fights I shouldn't have walked away from. And but 10 years old, like that was a time where if I knew the knowledge that I had now, I wouldn't have did certain things to annoy my mom. Or like, been more understanding to her plight. But it's just the logic of being a kid and not really understanding. I probably would have took my grandfather's death a lot differently because I lost him at a young age.
Mm,
I was really young, and my grandfather, which is my dad's father, he was very close to me, and me and my sister, and we used to go around to his house and just hang out with him, watch Prince movies, and listen to music and dance around. And when he got sick, I'm still a kid. I don't understand that he's sick. I don't understand that because nobody's telling a child what's going on. And when you start to put two and two together, I think I would have took it a lot better,
mm,
and I probably could have been there for him a lot better
mm.
with all the knowledge that I have now. Because they probably be like, "Why are you so?" Because I get it, and some people say that thinking like this, going back to a certain age or some sort, you lose who you are in your present
Mhm.
form.
I do believe that.
You lose who you are, but
Mhm.
it could be a better or worse. You know what I'm saying? Because of the simple fact, like
Mhm.
you could probably be a better version of yourself with the knowledge that you have now going back.
Mhm.
You get what I'm saying? Because the knowledge is still there.
Mhm.
So who you are in your hearts of hearts, I feel will. Because I was like, well, how's that possible if the knowledge is still there? Because if the knowledge is still there, you who you are in your hearts of hearts is going to be there consistently, constantly.
Mm,
You know, and you can either become more mature
mhm.
and make smarter decisions because knowledge is power, and I do genuinely believe that knowledge is power. And if you have a lot of knowledge, because not necessarily changing stuff, but just making better choices. And If you change, it could who's to say that you wouldn't be like, there's like, well, you won't be who you are. Who's to say that's a bad thing? You know what I'm saying? So that's my, where would you go? What age would you go to,
Um,
Fitz?
so I have a couple age points I would actually go to now. Before I say that, I am a firm believer that it does change who you are, and the downside of it is you might not meet certain people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but before I get onto that part, one age I would go back to be would be 17. Um, because I was really fully enjoying being a teenager, and I always will say I enjoyed being a teenager. Like those were years that I really did enjoy, and the world was opening up to me. And I think there's a lot of decisions and things I would do different.
Mm-hmm.
Now, um, I think I would have made sure that my junior and senior year, like I was doing good. It wasn't I did bad. I mean, I got accepted
Mm-hmm.
to great school, but I think I would have did things even different to make it even been better and gotten to even more greater schools. Um, and the sad part is, 18, right before I turned 19, I had Aiden. Being 17 again and thinking about everything that I've experienced, I probably wouldn't have had Aiden or any of my other children, which is like, well, of course I want my children. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I know I would have did a lot of things different. I mean, I know me and you, that chance that we would be friends because, I probably would have went to a different college.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said at different age points, but I think being 17 again with my knowledge, um, would put me in a different place
Mm-hmm.
completely. When I think about even younger, about like things I wish I would have learned, um, when I was 8 up until I think I was maybe like 10 or 11, I had a great great aunt who played the piano, and she tried and tried to teach me how to play the piano. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, my mind wasn't in it, as a kid. But when I look back on it, I wish I would have took the time to really learn how to play.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that does really stick out a lot. I'm always thinking about, man, I should have did that. And even if I kind of speed past where it doesn't affect, I guess, my children as much so, when I was 20, 26, there was a conversation I had with somebody, and if I had let go of my pride, I think it would have changed the course of our lives a lot. And what I'm saying is sometimes, we don't want to seem like we're losing,
Mm-hmm.
or we don't want to feel defeat or rejection. So we put up walls. And this was a conversation regarding a relationship, and I responded very swiftly and fast and brushed it off. And that led to that person shutting down. And I always think back of like how, and that person, who I'm talking about, without even saying their name, about how dear they were to my heart. And, you know, if I would have just shut up as a woman, just shut up, let it process. And I think if I had this fearless mentality, I mean, I've always had a fearless mentality, but I think with that particular part of not wanting to lose,
Mm-hmm.
if I were at how I am now, I would have fearlessly spoke my truth and not try to save face. So I guess 3 age points I would love to go back to, or if I could go back to or had a chance or whatever, would be 8. Uh-oh, there's a woken baby. 8, 17, and 26. Un momento.
Un momento, ladies and gentlemen. And while she's gone, I'm gonna talk about based off that logic. Um, 10 because I would cover all the reason I said 10 is because I would cover all the other ages that I would come up on. A lot of choices I wouldn't have made. I wouldn't have. I'd have got a better health plan as far as like working out. I would have been more in tune with the women I was in relationships with. I would have done things a lot sooner. Honestly, I'd have done a lot of things a lot sooner, like driving and things of that nature, things like that. You know what I mean? I would have did that. I would have tried my hardest to better educate myself because I don't know that probably would have changed the direction of what school I would have went to. I would have. I would have. There's this one particular conversation where I would have told my mother sooner about a situation, which that could have been better or worse for that. What I was telling him, Sweets, while you was gone, is that there's this one thing I would have. The reason I said 10 because I would have covered all the ages that
Mhm.
I would have wanted. Like when I was, I would have came up on 14 or
Mhm.
16, and when I was 16, like my sister was. When I was 15, she was like 17,
Mhm.
and she told me because me and my sister are thick as thieves, and she told me that she was like, "Yo, don't tell mom where I'm at. I'm gonna tell you where I'm at, but don't tell mama where I'm at." And I was like, "Come on, you're not supposed to be going nowhere. Why are you doing this?" She was like, "I just need to get away." Because I remember that particular night, Tamika and mom got into it. She had been staying out late with a girl that was like 18, 19. And she was like 18, 19, and she'd been staying out late with this girl. My sister's only 17 years old. Her and my mom, they don't think I hear anything. I'm a light sleeper. They will argue.
Mhm.
So my mom's in a room packing her shit. Like, you want to leave? Get out. Like, she's going to kick her out. And my pops was like, Angie, stop this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
He's the
Mhm.
one that stopped it. He was like, no, you're not kicking her out. What is your No, she want to be grown. I was like, he was like, what do you think this is going to resolve? You think she's going to learn? You want to learn the hardest way possible out there?
Mm.
And so my pops always he always had a logic about like you want her to learn the hardest way out there. So the next day my mom had to go to work. And me trying to be loyal to my sister, not realizing the severity of what was going on. And I blamed myself for years of the
Mm.
aftermath because 17, so 17 years old, she ran away. I didn't know she was running away. I thought she was just leaving and going somewhere for a little bit.
Mhm.
So I told that half-ass truth. I was like, yeah, she went with her. She said she'd be right back.
Mm.
And my sister said, I'm telling you where I'm at, but don't tell them where I'm at.
Mm.
And so, I love my sister. I'm loyal. I done took a lot of dirt from my sister, like growing up. I used to take some ass whoopings from my sister. You know what I'm saying? I was like, my mom just found out about one. She was like, "Remember that thing that was up in the lamp thing and it caught on fire? That was me. I did it, but T took the beating for me." I was like,
Mm,
you should have snitched. I was like, I ain't That's why my sister always had my back when stuff was. She was like, "Oh, let me bite this." Nah, bro, come on. Let's just go. Why don't you just go on upstairs? Mom, the phone ringing. Or like she would redirect mom. So, but back to this one. So I'm looking and Pops is he was like, "T, you sure you don't know where she's at?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't know." That's what she told me, and that's it.
mhm.
And I remember my mom getting out the car because they went driving around, see if they could find her. She got out of the car, came back home, and I remember seeing this look of fear in her face. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And she was like, "T knows something." And I was like, I mean, come on, you can't lie to your mom. And so
Mhm.
I was like, I just felt like, and so I finally broke and told her where she was at. My mom went and got the cops to come see where she was at. They pull up. She was there, but she was in the closet
Oh.
at the place. She was in the closet. But then the homeboy got like the one of the dudes got arrested because he had warrants. So,
Oh.
uh,
Can you imagine?
yeah,
You out here hanging
and
out,
so
you just
it's like,
expecting chilling, and all of a
and I'm
sudden you get got.
and I'm sitting there coming to the realization that like, yo, my sister's in too deep. And I was like, if I would have said something sooner, yes, she would have hated me, but she would have been here.
Mhm.
My sister explained to me years later. She was like, "T, if I wouldn't have did it then, I'd have did it another time, and that time I wouldn't have told you nothing. I'd have just dipped."
Mm,
Now imagine it could have been far worse.
mm,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And so my sister was gone for like 2 weeks. We didn't know where she was. And then when she
Mm,
comes back, she's pregnant
mm,
with Malaysia, and that's my baby girl.
mhm,
But I felt like, damn, if I would have just said something sooner, this stuff. But then, like my sister said, hey, I would have did it again. Probably this time worse.
mm. That kind of runs into, sometimes we think that our actions are what's going to change and impact
Yeah.
others.
Yep. That's what I was
And,
thinking.
you know, and we don't even realize it because you're doing this out of love for your sibling, for your sister. But if a person don't want that change or that help for themselves, like she said, they gonna do it. No matter how many times, like you ever see those time traveling things? I know we're big on like time travel in this discussion,
Hmm.
but where somebody's like a guy's trying to prevent his girlfriend from dying. And every time he goes back, she dies some kind of way, a different type of way.
Hmm.
Every time something, over and over again, can't stop it.
Hmm.
So if it's fate, it's fate. But also, if that's that person's desire to do whatever that thing is, they're going to do it no matter what you do or say. Um, just like Euphoria, when you have what's the name, Ray? Lord, we ain't seen it. So, what Lord? What's
Zendaya?
Zendaya's character's name? Lord, I can't even think of it.
I ain't seen it in
Um,
so long, so shit. I gotta go back
I
and look at it.
know it starts with an R. I'm mad I can't think of it. But when it comes to her character, It don't matter what her sister did, didn't matter what her mother did, didn't matter her thinking about her father. She was determined to get them drugs regardless.
Mhm.
Regardless. Um, and it just goes to show that we can try to help people. We can try to show people different outlooks of life. But if they're not ready for it, it don't matter. That even goes down to a woman trying to get a man to do right.
Mhm.
She's doing everything and it's still not good enough because that person has not yet appreciated their value. Um, so I think that's the downside about wanting to go back and change something. And for all you know, maybe it could have changed. It could have changed how things played out in your sister's life or, your relationship with your parents. Um, who's to say what it may have been? But, expecting her not to do it, that's a big chance,
Mhm.
because, for her to make that statement. Um, and I think that's the joys of life,
Mhm.
you know, that we all go through learning processes and stages of learning our lessons and growth. Um, and like we said at the beginning of the conversation, that by going back in time with what you know, you lose you slightly do lose the person that you are, because what made you that person right then in that moment was all those experiences that you experienced, all
Mhm.
those things that we may deem regrets, that we may wish we'd have did different, or what ifs or whatever. um like I said, it subtracts people from your life. um So it's one of those things that, yeah, it'd be great to be able to go and change this and that, but just like a butterfly effect, it affects so many other things. Because,
Mhm.
like, say, it would have been different and she wouldn't have got out of that day and, eventually became pregnant with your niece, Malaysia may have never existed.
Mhm.
And that means you take away all of your good memories of them away. Like, even when I said me being 17 again, would have like truly changed the course of my life, you and I wouldn't be sitting right here right now having this discussion.
Yeah.
You know, I can't fathom not knowing you. You know,
Likewise. Likewise.
I can't fathom not having Aiden. So Aiden's my OG. I don't know the other two as good as I know her. Like Angela be doing something like, dude, you really don't know me.
You don't know
Like,
me just yet.
looking
You
at this when you're like, yo, I'm looking at Addie like, you better tell him who I am.
yeah, look player. You might want to
Aiden
chill.
looking Aiden, she's looking at both of, Adeline and Angela like,
You'll learn.
y'all don't know this woman like I know her. I have known her for 16 years, So, um, when it comes to it, I can't imagine, not with any of my kids, but I can't imagine a world without Aiden. I mean, she is my OG, 17
Mhm.
years strong, you know?
Strong.
Um, strong. That's look, she vintage.
Good.
I said she my vintage child. She put
She,
her on the
she
shelf somewhere.
retro child.
Um, you want to hear something funny? So
What?
me and my team, when we graduate, hold on, I'm rushing ahead of what I'm trying to tell you. So me and my team, when we're dismissing our students, we stand out in the hallway, and since they're kindergartners, they don't quite make it to their combs for carpool like supposed to. So they have
Mhm.
eighth graders who do do safety patrol. So they are up there, and we're talking with the kids, and we're just like, oh, teenagers, right? And some kind of way we got on a conversation of when our kids are 18. And I got Erica, who's in her early 40s, and you have Becker, who's she's like I want to say she's 39, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
And their kids are older than my kids. And I sat and I thought, well, my two youngest ones, I was like, man, if I had only had Aiden, because she's so old now, I would have a quiet house by 37 years old.
Big facts.
A quiet house. What was I thinking? Now, I'm going to be going to somebody's graduation and I'm going to be close to 60.
You're gonna be a 6-0.
Well, not technically 60. I'm kind of
You're
pushing it
gonna
when I
be up
say
there. You're gonna be up there.
that. God knows. Oh, have mercy. Well, 17.
And I wouldn't. You know what I
Mm.
was also thinking about? I wouldn't have my birthday twin, my nephew. If like
Yep.
my sister, I wouldn't have my birthday twin, which is like 8505. Like that's
Hmm.
got 20-year difference between us.
I'm still here.
So when I hit 41, he'd be 21. So then we can really turn up. So I've been sitting there
Boy.
thinking about it. It's hilarious. I'll be like, oh, he was counting down too. He was like, yo, when you hit 21, when you hit 41, I'm 21. We can really turn up then. I was like, oh gosh.
That is.
I'm like, nephew, I love you. But we're gonna see where this goes.
That is
But you wanna
funny.
know speaking of which, I was thinking about that with this whole conversation when we went on that trip
Mm-hmm.
with like celebrating my nephew's graduation. He graduated from high school. And
Mm-hmm.
so we went this the first time ever where it's been me, my mom, Tamika, all three of her kids,
Mm-hmm.
and the grandbaby, which is my parish's daughter, all of us together. Tiger, and we all went together on this trip. And just having all of them together, I was like, yo, we gotta do this annually. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
just having those moments, like my mama was there. She needed look, we was at the thing, right? And like there's a hot tub outside, right? And there's a steps to get into the hot tub.
Mm-hmm.
My mom's short, right? So she couldn't get in the bed. It was like a king size bed. And she couldn't climb in the bed. So we had to take the steps from the hot tub so she could step into her bed. That was hilarious. So it's moments like that. Like I cooked breakfast for everybody that morning. We had fruit, pancakes, sausage, eggs, and fruit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
I cooked it up. And my niece was over here taking pictures on Snapchat, like, hey, my uncle over here cooking breakfast, you know. And I was trying to make the pancakes like my pops, because my nephew liked my pops pancakes, where he would make them with the nice buttery, crispy edges. And like, I was trying to make
Mm-hmm.
them like that. And so it was just good, like, just having that moment because my sister was chilling in the hot tub with her husband. And we was sitting on the porch, me, my nephew, and Tiger just talking. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
like my sister was just down in her room, and we're on the bottom floor, and they would come and check on me, and be like, "Hey, you alright?" Like, it was just good to have everybody together. And so without her doing
Mm-hmm.
that, without that moment, we wouldn't have all of these. But then
Mm-hmm.
again, who's to say? Wouldn't had something different. Because no matter what
But
happens,
it wouldn't be that.
it wouldn't be that, you know. And so I had my debates about it. Like, I was like, yeah, but I believe that if you have the knowledge, it's still there, then how can you lose like who you are? I believe whoever you are in your hearts of hearts is always going to be consistent. That's something that can't be changed.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's something that speaks to the depths of your soul.
Mm.
And that I understand that's a different conversation. But
No,
but
I
I
do
do
get
agree
I'm
with
sorry, am I going
I do agree with what you said about those moments in life
sure.
would not
Mm,
would not be there. And that naturally just changes everything. Like case in point, we would have never met. You probably would have been at a totally different school.
mm,
If I would have went back, I would probably been in a
mm.
totally different school.
I think about that all the time.
You know?
'Cause, when you think about it, it's like all that this is I think for people maybe so for you and um, I can put down, for you and we didn't have horrible, I think, childhoods.
Yeah.
Um, compared to some that we have heard or known of, or had a horrible just outcomes over and over again that we feel like we would want to take it all back. But I do believe there are a lot of people in this world who had horrible upbringings, experienced a lot of traumatic things, at earlier ages, that where they are in life, they would risk everything they know now, people they know, experiences, to be able to relive a different life. Um, and I think that goes for those um group of people. But when it comes to you and I, or someone like us who hasn't experienced, horrible like traumatic events like that, or just horrible childhoods, um, we have to weigh that. Is it worth it? You know, as much as we like, let's just say love life.
Hmm.
Say you all right. I wanted to be married with kids at this age,
Hmm.
or regretting relationships that you experience. And then sometimes we realize that we needed to go through those experiences to make us the person we are now. Maybe so not so many of those experiences, but those really learning points. Um,
Hmm.
it really is a double-edged sword. I don't I don't think I can say that, I fully would want to sacrifice not having my children or not having our friendship and, numerous amounts of things just to relive it all. Now, if reincarnation was a thing, make me something awesome.
You
But
know,
with my
Tupac
person.
said that was his only fear coming back reincarnated. Because that means that you didn't do something right in order to move on.
Well, if it's going from that belief system.
Yeah, from that
There's a lot of
belief
different
system.
belief
Yeah,
systems
yeah, you get what I'm saying?
when it
And
comes to
so,
reincarnation.
but reincarnation, I think about that too. I was like, hey, what if we came back? It'd reset us at 10, like, God dang.
Well, so interesting you say that. I'm over here multitasking, trying to submit something.
Right.
But interesting that you say that. So I remember I used to be like, even though I don't believe in reincarnation, I do believe I believe in a higher power and that, whatever we are, we are. Um All right, hold on one second. Just let me type this in because I really want to kind of dive into this one. Um, so I used to always wonder if reincarnation was real and if we have been coming back time and time again.
I don't know. These
And
photos that we've been seeing pop up, it kind of
well,
makes
no,
you
no, no,
wonder.
not necessarily looking the same, or maybe. Um, But if you just kept getting reincarnated into different lives, um, and you can't remember them. So who's to say if you're not just living a life right now that you're going to not even know it exists to live another one? And it's a constant cycle that never ends. And I don't know, it's just interesting. It's like, well, if I was, how was I that person? But no, it used to be a silly thought I had as a kid, but I don't think reincarnation is real or true. No offense to those who do believe that, but I don't know, it's an interesting concept. But even when you add what you said about, say, you just come back, you still look the same, and you look at all these pictures, and what? No, no, here's a freaky one. What if you're in class learning about yourself from a past life and not know it?
That'd be crazy. That would be
Can you imagine?
crazy. Yeah.
Can you imagine being Hitler, learning about being Hitler?
Yeah.
That's
Can you
crazy.
imagine
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of, really extreme, but could
being Shaka Zulu? Can you imagine
you know,
seeing that you was Shaka
you do
Zulu?
that? Oh my gosh. Imagine, like, in, like, 40 years finding out you were Trump.
This is gonna. I was like, how did that even? The math ain't mapping, B. How did that even? I'd have been like,
I don't know, just naming random people.
but that that's a crazy. Now you got me. I'm not
Now
trying
I
to go
got your
down this
mind
rabbit
going.
hole with you, sweets. I'm not trying to go down this rabbit hole with you.
Yeah, that was my goal, was to get you thinking.
But
What if you were Hitler? Horrible.
I was watching the whole timeline off a subject. I was watching the whole
Mhm.
timeline of Aliens because you know they got a new one coming out.
I heard, not mixed things about it, but,
This is my whole thing about Aliens because I like watching origin stories, and I'm like,
okay.
oh, you engineers ain't ish. Because my dude has this thing that I follow on. He was like, he talks about villains in horror movies. He was like, the proclaimed villain, and
Versus the real villain.
this is the real villain. And I sent you a
Mhm.
couple, Pet Cemetery and all of
You
that, and I
sure
was
did.
just like,
And you
he
know,
got
they were
a
all
point.
spot
I was like,
they were all spot
I was
on.
like, he ain't this.
Like, some of those, I was like, this is like Pinhead. When you really think about it, like, Pinhead wasn't trying to mess with y'all. Y'all was messing with him.
Y'all keep calling him out. Like, what?
You know? Even Candyman.
Yes, don't call his name. Leave that man alone.
Now when it comes to, so even Jason, like, Jason was innocent. He was just tortured. So, but
And
but now when it comes to Freddy, nah,
nah, he was just sick.
yeah, nah, he that villain. Even Jeepers Creepers,
But if
he
you
about to.
look at it, what they don't tell you is the origin story of
Oh, I know
um
his origin story,
Freddy Krueger. Which one?
but then they've done. So the whole thing about, so there's been two different versions of it about, like, him and the kids. He worked there as a janitor, and the whole thing is that he was supposed to have been touching the kids. And then there's another one where basically they accused him of it, and it really wasn't him, and he got killed, and that's why he came back and tortured.
No, I'm talking about further than that. What his origins was. All right. And if you ever paid attention to the movies, Freddy Krueger's mom was a nun.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And she
yeah,
was
yeah.
a
I remember. It's
nun
so long since
and
I
she
watched
got
that one.
accidentally locked in the male psychiatric ward and was raped by like 50 or 30 different
I
psychopaths.
forgot about that one.
And then the birthed Freddy Krueger, the son of 30 psychopaths or something like that, of 100 or something psychopaths. And so, because I always think about stuff from like you psychological aspect. Like case in point, Freddy Krueger was the son of, so he already has a shadow following him growing up. Because his mom
Mhm.
killed herself and she was a nun. So she wasn't supposed to be doing that anyway. And so naturally that rule of, oh, he's the son of 30 psychopaths and da 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 da. And that shadow follows you, naturally something snaps in your head. And maybe I am. But the whole thing with kids, I was like, I ain't like that. Cause I feel like children, that's that rule that you shouldn't mess with children in the horror films. And then Michael
Mhm.
Myers. I like the everybody has their issue with the Rob Zombie stuff, but it gave it more of a psychological insight on him and what
Mhm.
he does. Like when he put the mask on, that wasn't Michael Myers anymore. That was his disguise. You know what I'm saying? So all of the crimes that he
Mhm.
committed wasn't him. Without the mask, he's still just Michael Myers, a scared little boy. You know what I'm saying? But with the
Mhm.
mask on, it gave him an identity to hide behind as the the thing that drove him, the darkness that drove him.
Mm.
And so, I mean, I was like, if y'all look deeply into these characters and look at their origin stories, some origin stories are BS. Like the Scream origin story of Ghostface. I was like, your husband was a hoe. That's I
You know, after a
your
while, they
husband
make
was
so
a hoe.
many. So, so when it comes to those, when it comes to Scream and stuff, they keep making them, and it's like, why are you still killing teenagers?
Yeah, I was like, what?
You
You
know,
can't pick nobody else.
like they keep, and then you got to continue that people are like, obsessed with that person, so they continue it. It gets crazy. Another one is that they don't. Hold on, what's that one? I was like Saw. So I remember my old roommate back in college, she loved Saw because she loved how everything was tied in together, right? But after you got to a certain point, it's just like,
Yeah,
bro,
Saul
you was
already
out here.
dead. After he died, that's it. That's the end of the story. Nope.
I'm sitting here like, you done came up with all of these different strategies to torture all these people, and this stuff going on way after you are gone.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. I know we're going a little off subject, but I just had to get that off my chest. But
Mhm.
back to the time thing. My conclusion on it is this: we may have not be able to do that in real life. It's something cool to think about, but time, as we know of, in this moment, moves forward. But the good thing about it is that we're still here to make new memories
Mhm.
and change things and move forward. I look at life because I've been through a lot, sweets. You know it. I've been through a lot. I'm going through a lot currently, but I've always looked at it as like as long as I'm able to wake up every day and blessed to have air in my lungs to breathe, is another opportunity to be better than the day before.
Mhm.
It's another opportunity to create. It's another opportunity to impact somebody. It's another
Mhm.
opportunity to come up with ideas. Every day you're blessed until God says it's your turn to settle down. You have you have time.
This is true.
So that's my logic on it. I was like, hey, I may have not been able to change it now, but best believe I can change it going forward.
Mhm. And I think
You don't have to
everyone's
accept.
life, huh?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Everyone's life isn't the same. And I know there are some who want to trade theirs more than others. But I do think that sometimes you got to take the cards you've been given. You got to do what you can, the best you can do with them. Um, and not live in the past of woulda, coulda, shouldas,
Hmm.
but create your. Sometimes you got to create your own reality. We spend so much time in the past that we will forget about the present. We'll be so worried about the future, and we don't live in the present. And because of that, we're not growing to our full potentials, and we're holding ourselves back from being greater than what we are. So it's a important thing about living in the here and now
Hmm.
and not living in the past or be so, consumed with the future events that haven't happened. Um, and I do think we can change our course. But it takes really working on trying to improve those things or improve. When I say improve, you can't improve, I mean improve on situations, but taking what was learned from those situations of regret and improving on it. Like when I mentioned about a conversation I could have had. So because of what I lost from not, freely just speaking how I felt, and I've done that before in the past too, that I didn't do it leading up to that time. And I think after that really fully sank in and years later, I told myself, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm
Hmm.
going to speak how I feel. And I could have chose to be stuck on, oh, if we could have just said this and that, things would have been different and keep my mind focused on that and not grow from it and learn that sometimes it's okay to not always be right or to win or to be fearing have that fear of rejection or being let down.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. I think this was an interesting topic.
For sure, for
You
sure.
know, not the usual things we would talk about, but sometimes it's interesting to kind of think, well, what if? What would you do?
Yeah,
So yeah.
I agree. And it's always, and this ain't one of them weed smoking conversations, but it's just things to think about
It's
left
funny.
field, the stuff that comes left field that we all think
Mhm.
about. To just hit your left field and then you're just like, you know what? And that's the whole point of this podcast. We want to have thought provoking conversations
Mhm.
about things to like spark your guys' interest to like just listen and give you a different perspective. So
Mhm.
I want to let y'all know that this is what we plan to do
Yeah,
going
sometimes you
forward.
got to, throw it in there. You know, I mean, because there's so many different things I know we could talk about. Um, there's the saying that is going around a lot, saying the quiet part out loud.
Mm,
And
hmm.
I think it's good to have people who aren't afraid to say the quiet part out loud. Now hear me out. Now I ain't saying just anything. But when it comes to certain topics that are deemed slightly taboo or controversial, being able to say it because a lot of times there are a lot of people feeling the exact same way you are, but no one has said that quiet part out loud enough where they could feel at ease and know that they're not alone or feel comfortable discussing certain topics.
Hmm.
And I'm not when I say the quiet part out loud, I'm not saying, start saying some racial slurs because you don't like people that look like other people that you don't like or whatever.
But hard
But
truths.
yeah, or just difficult discussions. Like even when it comes to things of the opposite sex. Like you and I, if I don't know nothing, I know how to be a girl. You know how to be a boy or a man or woman, whatever you want to say. And I always say this, there are some situations that are women problems. Like that's a woman issue. And then some things are a me issue. And vice versa to you. Some things are a guy thing. That's just what guys do. And then some things is what Terrence does,
And I've always, it's funny that you say that because I was like, if I have a daughter, I know there's certain things and conversations that's gonna have to be had where I'm gonna have to take a seat. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Because I can't. And like if I had a son, I know my wife would want to be involved, but there's some things that she gonna have to take a seat on. Like you gonna have to take a
I
seat
mean,
on this.
yeah.
And like,
Unless you are forced unless you're forced into a situation where you have to be both. But no, there are certain things that you cannot identify I can't identify with. No matter how much I might act like a boy, do my Beyonce and my Sierra, um, I'm not a boy.
yeah,
Um, so, basically what I'm saying is that there's certain perspectives that aren't heard out because people are afraid to say the quiet part out loud. Or even if it's not something that's deemed controversial, even if it's just I thought I was the only person that seen blah 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 blah. I don't know. I was trying to think of something. Um, and you find out there's a lot of people who have seen blah 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 blah.
hmm
Um, So I don't know. I like the differentness of this one. And, hearing stories of things in our lives. One of the things I can't relate to is I don't have siblings. It's just me.
yeah. Versus
Me,
me, I
it's
got
me.
like 5, 6.
No, it's me versus me up in here. If something break when I was a kid, oh, I did it. I couldn't blame
Yeah,
it, dog.
yeah. I'm like, dang.
Why did you come home late? I had nobody to snitch on me. I had to confess or just be grounded. So, it's interesting listening to that because this is something that's foreign to me. And intriguing because it's funny now that I'm older. I remember I was younger, I really wanted a sibling, but now that I'm older, I'm just like, you know what, I'm good.
I know. Yeah, I'm good.
I be looking at people, siblings be having debates. I'm like, yeah, because I probably wouldn't have liked them. Like, at a certain point, I'd be like, "Listen, I only had to deal with you because we were related to the same people. But outside of that, I don't rock with you. Even if they could have been a twin." I'm like, "Bro, give me my space." So, me being me, I don't know. Like I said, interesting topic for sure.
For sure, for sure.
Mhm,
So I think we're gonna wrap this one up. And we want to thank y'all guys once again for tuning in to us.
mhm.
We're slowly but surely growing, and we're keeping it moving. We're keeping it like just promoting. And if I gotta slide your DMs and drop off the link, I will. But I would suggest you DM me for the link. And the link is in my profile on IG, which is at Terrence TerenceBTHANAME. Terrence be the name. And
Ooh,
that's
that's
my
lots.
link is in the bio. Uh I'm also on TikTok under Terrence B. I'm Terrence B on Twitter, X,
Oh,
whatever it is, the letter. Uh
oh, yeah, no, I be so it's always Twitter to me.
it's always gonna be Twitter. Cut
Oh,
it out. We know. So
I know.
uh follow us on there.
Mhm,
And also follow us on the Artist and the Thinker on all social media platforms.
mhm.
YouTube, IG, Twitter. We're all over there. We're trying to get TikTok. We're still trying to figure out TikTok. But we will be up there too eventually. So sweet. You
That's
wanna let
it.
them know your profiles and stuff?
Um, I guess because I don't like how my profiles are. But, my art page is Lene well, Art by Lene, which is Loneiby. Hold on, I spelled that all wrong. Take 2. It is, Art by Lene, so that's ArtByLonai on, Instagram. Also, you can find me at Lene 88 too. That's more of, I guess, me outside of the art aspect. Um, I think on TikTok it's just my name, Lene Leach. Um, and I got a lot of aliases and stuff. But those are the ones I basically say off the top of my head, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right. So on that note, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.